Welcome to Jimodism Total Nerdy channel. Today we're going to build a sailing boat, a quick little tutorial on how to build a classic sailboat. To start building, you just click B. Freeze the thing in the air, we're using caps lock. Here you have a fantastic little set, and take note of the arrow that's pointing forward. That tells you which direction the ship you are building will be, which is important. Now, since we're going to make a sailing boat, we would want to have any engines on board on it, so we can't use water pumps, which means we need to build it from a type of block that actually floats, or mainly from a type of block that actually floats. I think it's something around for every 4 metal you need 1 wood to be able to float, but I'm going to build this thing entirely out of wood. If you want to use another material, lightweight alloy floats actually better than wood, but wood is cheap. And here you have all the shapes. So now I will start making a nice little shape. You can use N to set up a nice symmetry plane and basically form a nice hull. And there we have a beautiful little hull shape. And as you can see, it's a beautiful boat, which means it's aerodynamic and hydrodynamic, which means it will go fast through the water. However, it has a tendency to tilt over because we don't have any kind of ballast. What we'll need to do now, when we've done this little beautiful hull, is of course to add some weights in the bottom. The easiest way to do this is go to the lead tab and basically fill in some pretty nice blocks here. I just realized I went to the metal. This is the lead. You can see here the weight is 200, metal is only 40. So we'll definitely want to use lead here. So we can just add some beautiful shapes like this. And when we drop down here, you can see we are staying upright. Now you also see that we have a hollow inside on this ship. But because we don't have any engine power and we don't have any water pumps on this one, that actually doesn't matter. If you would have water pumps, it does matter that the inner water space is tight. But for this case, only the floaty blocks and the weight beneath does matter. To add the ability for the ship to steer, we go in under the water and we select a rudder. Point in the direction our ship is, and we click G so it's aligned to that way, and we spawn a little rudder here. If you have blocks blocking the rudder, it might decrease its efficiency. It's also important, of course, that the rudder is beneath the water. Now, any ships need some kind of brains, or any vehicles needs, of course, brains to think with. These are called AI. So let's get an AI. This is an AI mainframe. We'll place it right here. An AI mainframe will be able to make the ship walk around and also, yes, shoot and maneuver and everything like that. So we are adding some connectors to connect up some stuff, because we are going to do direct connections to stuff, since this is a pretty small ship. We will have very basic detection and targeting capabilities on this thing. What we'll do here is we'll go to detection, and here we see laser rangefinder, which is okay and cheap. And on top of that, we're going to put a 360 camera. Now this thing is basically detecting and tracking targets for us. Fantastic. Now we can go into this thing and we need to select a behavior. We are going to add naval. We just click on it to make it active. Here we can select some different settings to enter range of broadside and nominal broadside angle and everything like that. You can play around with a little bit if you want to. Here we have maneuver. To select a maneuver, this is a ship or tank, so let's select that. Click on it to make it active. And here we have additional Now this is something we definitely need. So what we're going to do to be able to use the additional is to go to card slots, and we're going to add a little card holder here. And here we have behaviors and additional routines. Select one of these. Perfect. Since we already spawned a card slot, we have target prioritization and aim point selection. Aim point selections will help it select aim points, and target prior will let you set different types of targets. It will go for first. We're going to tweak this a little so it targets slower vehicles basically. Well, we already have a card slot, so we might as well select that thing. Here, if we go to detection equipment and click Q, you can select some basic things here. You can also click auto adjust and also auto adjust on the bearing averaging time. If this is too high, it will have hard time to basically shoot at fast moving targets. So it's a potentiality that our enemies would be move fast, so we can just turn this down a little bit and basically sacrifice some accuracy, but that's something you'll tweak. And if you didn't notice already, from the depth is a lot about tweaking. Well, this is basically our AI, but of course we did add a little additional routine, which we find on this additional tab. We click add additional routine and we click add sailing. Now we also have the FTD sailing, and I can't remember the difference between them, but I think that FTD sailing is the one that works. Last time I tried, one of them worked and one of them didn't, but probably both should work, but oh well, whatever. You can also see a little warning sign here. It says that we don't have full GPPP based system efficiency. This means that the detection and tracking systems are not up to full speed, which means we need one of these general purpose processing cards to be able to give it some processing power. If you have a lot of detection and tracking equipment, you'll need a lot of these general processing cards to be able to take the data load. It's basically some kind of extra processor or something. Anyways, now we should add the capability for the ship to sail. Now what we are going to do here is we're just going to go here and select new objects. Then we have spin and turn block. Select one of these, aim them in the right direction using G, and then we have a beautiful little spin block here. Then we can go and create a beautiful mast. I shall use wooden poles for, I don't know, it looks cool. Then we can go to water again, and we here have the sails. We have square rig and also main kind of sail block. So basically we can just add them up like that, and we can select where we want the sail block to be. It does want a little block to basically sit on, even though it's not actually really needed. So let's add that. But this looks weird. Let me fix this. Beautiful. Much better. Anyways, we go to water again and we click on sails, and here we have main sail block. If you want a square sail, you need to click the square rig thing. Here we have the main sailing block, and here we can see the miniature version of the sail. Anyways, here we have the sail winch, which should be on top of the thing. We can in any case add these there, and then we can add these here and here. We need to select the winch on the uppermost mast of the sail, which will basically be able to hist the sail down, up and down, dependent on how much force we need. If you want a little thing that will be able to show you where you should, or the wind is blowing, you can use one of these weather vanes. But of course you need to build on the main ship, which is this button. Beautiful. So that's what this looks like. Basically shows you the direction. Can be good to have one of these on the ship. Now remember that you don't want to block any of your cameras or laser rangefinders with putting anything like obstruct them in any way. So be careful with that. You want them to be visible but still not too exposed. In any case, laser rangefinders and the camera here, they can be covered with glass blocks without them actually causing any type of issues. So you can do that and still give them some protection. But I'm feeling kind of low budget on this sailing boat, but just so you know. And if you unfreeze your ship here, you can see that the AI fully just automatically is able to control the spinning mast and the ship itself to go basically where you want it to go. Pretty beautiful, and doesn't cost any resources to go with this ship anywhere, so it's a pretty low cost vessel as well. Of course, it's not very powerful either. Now, all ships need some kind of ammunition if they're going to have any kind of weapons, if they are not using only lasers, of course, but if you're using decent weapons, you need ammo. So you go to resources, and here we find ammo storage barrels. And now we want to space the ammo out just a little bit so all of it won't go in a chain reaction. I don't think this all would go in a chain reaction, but yeah. If you would space them out with a metal block, they would definitely not go all out in a chain reaction. And you also don't want to keep any ammo blocks too close to any very important blocks, because, you know, they will eventually blow up probably. Alright. And now, of course, we also want some beautiful weapons on this thing. So we're going to go back to the AI menu. And here we're going to find a connector block. You can set up a beautiful little mirror here. And now we're going to make this little nice side where we have a lot of, okay, why didn't it, oh yes, of course. We want them to all be connected by this physical connectors here. Now you can remotely place a block here by putting a wireless receiver on it if you have a transmitter on somewhere on the main structure. But these are a little bit more expensive, and since we're not needing so much of them, this costs 15 and 30, and the connectors only cost 2 materials, so I think it's more efficient to just basically spam a lot of them. Now, local weapon controllers, they don't need to be super close to they don't need, it can be one block between the local weapon controller and the weapon. So basically what we can do here is we take the local weapon controller and we can put it, here we can put one, and then we can have a cannon up here. So we should now space out local weapon controllers with 3 blocks in between of them to make it all nice. I think we'll remove this to see better. Like this. This is what I'm going to do, I think. Well, 2 blocks in between of them should suffice. That's probably very fantastic. Now let's put some weapons on top of them, wherever they are. Okay, there we are. So, just on top of here, we can place a beautiful weapon. What we do is we go to Simple Weapons. We find Age of Sail cannons should be reasonable. And then we have 16 pounder, which is a kind of a small cannon. 32 pounder, and we have the 64 pounder, which is kind of huge for this thing at least. But of course we need to think of the weights of this thing. If it's too heavy on top of here, the thing will flip, and if you flip you need to have lighter cannons or basically make a ship that's a little bit more sturdy. We also have this rocket's revolutionary rotating gun, which doesn't have too much turning value. So let's go with a couple of 16-pounder guns, since this is a quite light vessel. Now, if we are on the ship, we can scroll and select the weapons ourselves. Using this, we can actually see how far they can aim in any kind of direction. And see, there we fired. But if we have any kind of issues with the guns being able to hit our own ship, we need to go into build mode again and go into AI, local weapon controller, and failsafe. Then we can put a failsafe on the side of the gun, and it should now stop shooting itself. We will do this for our little extra turret, which I feel we want to have. We put a little local weapon controller there and put a little failsafe in the side of it. On top of here, we can now build a beautiful turret. We'll just have some nice block to cover that up. And we can now go to new objects, and we can find something called 2-axis turret, pointed in the right direction. And there we have it. We're now on the turret. We can now go into simple weapons, Age of Sail, and we select this beautiful little interesting cannon here. Of course, I think we'll make a little basically socket for this thing to make it look a little cooler. Okay, so it looks kind of stupid. Let's go to the heavy weapons and just select a 60mm autocannon. Yes, much more beautiful. And there we have it. Now we have some blocks sticking with us here, but they will fall up pretty soon. And of course we have a failsafe on this, so it should be completely fine. If you really need to block something from moving, you can go in here and select extra constraints and basically limit in exactly what angles a thing can move or not, if you need to. Well, now what we basically need to do is to cover up a lot of things here to make it look a little bit more complete. And yeah, we're gonna use symmetry plane here. And well, basically without blocking any of the cannons or of course the detection equipment. So let's do that. Alright, we have decorated our beautiful little hull here a little bit basically, and I just realized that the water pump should need engine power to pump out water, but it seems that right now it actually don't need engine power to pump out water. So I suppose you could make a sailing ship entirely out of metal and put some water pumps inside of it, and it might actually work pretty well. Oh well. In any case, I won't have any of that on this one. I will have some control, and we're going to go to vehicle controller and select ship's wheel. Beautiful. And then we can also put a little share here, so we actually can be on board on this ship. And there we have that. I added a little more lead under the vehicle to make it flip less often, which we had some problems with basically. You can also of course make a flat belly ship, and you will have a lot more stable ship. But yeah, it looks cool, this one. And also of course, as with any ship, you'll need to paint it in some beautiful colors you enjoy. Beautiful. It's now time to save your vehicle. This beautiful vessel is going to be called Sailor 69. Fantastic. Now you can drop it down, and you can of course try and see if you can control the ship by yourself. And to control a sailing ship like this, you unfortunately need the complex controller instead of the ship's wheel, and this will be able to make you use these custom command binds to the arrow keys. But actually sailing is kind of complex, so we don't need to set it up manually here. Just ignore that and let the AI do the job. That's basically my tip to you. So the ship wheel is only for aesthetics, you can remove it. If you want to go somewhere, the most easy way is to just set it to go there. And now remember that, of course, a sailing ship might be a little bit slow, you know, since it depends a lot of how the wind is blowing, naturally. But it can be quite fast too. We are already in 12 meters per second, 13 meters per second. We have this little sad wiggling motion here, and that is because of the rudder. Rudders are annoying to work with. If you want less of a wiggling motion, place them a lot more close to the water line, should it be a lot better. How beautiful is that not? Also, if you still think it's too wiggly, you can actually go into things and customize them. You can see we have a power scale. Set this to like 50 and it will only turn 50% of the degrees it normally turns. It will be like 50% as efficient. So there we have it. You can see the sailing ship is following the track. Beautiful. Anyways, we did some changes, so do please save it again, and here we have your sailing ship. We shall indeed try it out against an enemy vessel. Can just turn this to automatic. Beautiful. We can go into X menu, and here we have some beautiful ships we can spawn. So let's spawn a Vanguard, since it's pretty small, and perhaps we'll have a semi-even fight. Now you can see our beautiful automatic cannon is firing at it. You can see it didn't choose to fire on itself, which is why we have the failsafe. Holy shit. And now we have a pretty weak ship, and it basically took out our entire AI there. And that's what happens when you build out of wood. Or so much weaker than this vessel. You can see this vessel is kind of small, but it does have some beautiful cram cannons. To make it a little bit more efficient, I'm of course going to load in some more of the Sailor 69 to give it a little bit of an advantage. But this beautiful ship we made, it's not, I guess, very good. It is basically to show you how to build a sailing ship, which we did go through. And even though our enemy vessel is a lot stronger, we can still take it on somehow when we're going to broadside. And I think we're doomed. Yes, we're kind of doomed. Now, of course, the enemy vessel we are facing isn't actually much better than us. It only has a little bit better of firepower. If you want to make a nice cram cannon, like this one for example, I have a cram cannon and cram cannon turrets tutorial in 2 parts, which basically will show you all about how to make beautiful crams. But even though with all the tips shown in this video, I'm pretty sure you will be able to successfully set up a ship that has a lot more firepower, basically make this a lot larger, and you will have some nice firepower on it. And well, while this is an only sailing ship, you can of course make a ship that's not only a sailing ship but also a ship with sailing capabilities and propellers. You remember in the AI, we set it up as FTD sailing. I now set it up as sailing, and so far it seems to work. Now I'm not sure if both of them will actually remain in the future, and maybe perhaps one of them will eventually disappear. So I recommend you to try them out both when you make a ship and see if the sailing command or the FTD sailing maneuver will work best. Oh well. We just went into a beautiful broadside here, and you can see we actually punched some beautiful holes into the ship. You can see we already, oh yes, the cram turret doesn't hit us very easy, and we are almost hitting its AI. Oh yeah, there we go. We successfully took it out by taking out the AI. So there we go. Well then, this tutorial has been helpful on how to make a little sailing ship. And I know this is very basic, but if you want to make a sailboat, this is how to do it. So please have fun and do subscribe for future videos. This is Jim from Total Nerdery channel, officially signing out.